Across the 5 seasons, Walter White faces countless moments where his carefully built meth empire is close to being exposed. Here are all the times Walt almost got caught, starting with the desert gas mask incident. It didn't take long for Walt to almost blow his cover. In season 1, Hank Schrader, Walt's brother-in-law and a DEA agent, investigates a gas mask found in the desert near an abandoned RV. Guess where the mask came from? Walt's high school chemistry lab. It's the first big sign that Walt isn't cut out for this criminal life. He leaves evidence like breadcrumbs for the police.
Do you recognize that?
Luckily for Walt, Hank can't imagine a mild-mannered, khaki-wearing Walt breaking bad. He cracks jokes about the mask, and Walt awkwardly laughs along, all while sweating in fear. The funniest thing about this encounter is, Hank provides Walt more information about the investigation, so instead of this being a bust, it ends up being a bonus for Walt.
We found it near an abandoned car. It belonged to one of our snitches.
Snitch?
Yeah, one of our confidential informants.
The men laughed over the unnerving incident and forgot about it. This sets the tone for much of the show. Walt gets sloppy, but everyone around him is too blind to see it. But this was only the beginning. The next time was even more shocking. Number 2 is Skyler's suspicion in season 1. Walt's new double life as a chemistry teacher turned meth cook was just kicking off, but he was already showing signs of being the worst liar ever. Skyler, his wife, is no fool. She notices his weird behavior, like disappearing for hours and acting all shifty, and her radar goes off as she starts asking questions.
Who is Jesse Pinkman?
In one scene, Walt claims he was visiting his mom. Solid excuse, right? Except he hasn't even told her he has cancer yet. Skyler almost smells the BS, but Walt managed to wiggle out of it with some quick thinking and a straight face. Walter scrambled to keep his lies straight while Skyler slowly turned into a full-time detective.
You don't come home last night until 2 in the morning. You don't tell me where you've been. You spent the entire night in the bathroom, Walt.
It was obvious that Skyler did not believe him, but she could not exactly tell why her husband had begun behaving unusually. Number 3, Jane's death and the domino effect. When Jane Margulis, Jesse's girlfriend, dies of an overdose in season 2, Walt is standing right there letting it happen. Morally bankrupt? Absolutely, but it's also a calculated move. Jane was threatening to expose Walt if he didn't pay Jesse his share. By not intervening, Walt saves himself from being blackmailed. But here's where it gets messy. Jane's death indirectly causes a mid-air collision between 2 planes. Suddenly, Albuquerque is ground zero for one of the biggest aviation disasters in US history. The city is swarming with investigators, news reporters, and grieving families. The crash was caused by the grieving father of Jane, who just happened to be the air traffic controller who gave wrong information to the pilot because he was still in shock about his daughter's death.
4.6. Contact Albuquerque Center 134.6. Wayfarer 515, descend to 10,000.
You'd think this would put a target on Walt's back, but no. His luck holds out because no one connects the dots between him, Jane, and the crash. While these are all close calls, they don't come as close as Number 4, Jesse's meth lab discovery. Jesse and Walt's brilliant idea of using an RV as a meth lab almost became their undoing. That thing might as well have crime in progress spray painted on the side as it looked really suspicious. Things got dicey when Hank started sniffing around. Hank was tracking down leads to Albuquerque's drug scene and almost stumbled into their rolling lab. Walter and Jesse were inside the vehicle and the only thing separating them from Hank was the rickety door of the RV.
Look at these. What do those look like to you?
It was one of the most nerve-wracking moments in the show. Walter, ever the quick thinker, staged a fake emergency phone call to pull Hank away just in time.
I'm sorry to inform you that your wife's been in an automobile accident. She's being airlifted to Los Ranchos Medical Center and should be arriving there shortly.
It's a genius move, but let's be real, how many close calls can one guy have before his luck runs out? The RV became this constant reminder of how recklessly close Walt and Jesse were to getting caught. Number 5, Skyler almost reports Walter to Hank. In season 3, episode 1, Skyler, upon learning the full extent of Walter's involvement in the methamphetamine trade, she almost let all hell loose.
A drug dealer.
No, what? How?
What? She flirts with the idea of confiding in her brother-in-law, Hank Schrader. The only condition she gave Walter to keep her mouth shut was for him to sign their divorce. This was a choice Walter was not ready to make. She could have ran out right there and then and confided in Hank or her sister, and it would have been game over for Walter.
No. Skyler. Skyler, listen.
No.
There are a lot of angles to this, okay? It's complicated.
Walter gets lucky yet again as she calms down enough to reconsider taking any rash action. Number 6. Walter's laundromat almost got busted. Eventually, Hank started connecting the dots in season 4. For the longest time, Heisenberg's secret life flew under Hank's radar, probably because it was almost impossible to suspect a mild-mannered chemistry teacher like Walter. But by now, Hank was piecing things together, and the coincidence between Walter's movements and Heisenberg's meth empire were getting too big to ignore. The tension went up when Gomez, a fellow DEA agent, sniffed out the laundry facility that doubled as a meth lab.
Can I help you?
Yes, sir. A friend and I, we were wondering if we could take a look around.
Walter, being the slippery guy he was, helped stage a fake accident to throw Hank off the trail. It was a brilliant move, but you can see Hank's suspicion growing by the minute. Number 7. Hank finds Walter's book. This was one of the biggest oh no moments in Breaking Bad, Hank finding Walter's book. In season 5, Hank casually picked up a copy of a book titled Leaves of Grass while using Walter's bathroom. Inside the book is a message from Gail Botticher, Walter's former lab partner, that practically reveals that Walter was Heisenberg.
To WW, my star, my perfect silence.
The look on Hank's face says it all. In an instant, everything clicks. The suspicious timing, Walter's sudden wealth, the endless coincidences. Hank realized his nerdy, mild-mannered brother-in-law was the drug lord he had been hunting all along. It's a jaw-dropper, and you can almost hear the sound of Hank's world crashing down. What's wild is how Walter's secret stays intact a little longer. Hank did not confront him immediately, which only added to the tension. This moment sets the stage for the epic showdown we all knew was coming. Number 8. Marie's near revelation. Marie, Skyler's sister, was starting to put 2 and 2 together, and it was not looking good for Walter. She has been sniffing around the White family's finances like a dog on a hot trail and was getting pretty close to figuring things out. During a heated chat with Skyler, Marie was all fired up, demanding answers, but Skyler was being as vague as a fortune cookie.
So it's been a whole year. Listen, I've had my problems with Walt. Why he wouldn't come to the house when we were all practically begging, whatever, water under the bridge.
It was a close call though. At one point, Skyler almost slipped up, giving Marie just enough info to raise red flags. But then Skyler pulled off the ultimate move. She just shut down completely, leaving Marie more confused.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Had Marie asked just one more question, the whole empire could have come crumbling down. But Skyler stayed tight-lipped and the mystery remained. Number 9. Todd's uncle at the campground. Despite being in a delicate situation already, things got worse when Walter got involved with a criminal-minded kid named Todd and his neo-Nazi uncle. As if dealing with drug lords and DEA agents wasn't enough, Walter now found himself tangled up with this dangerous duo whose idea of a good time involves chaos and violence. Todd tried his best to be a good henchman, but he was as clumsy as a bull in a china shop. He goes about running his mouth about the heist he did with Walter White.
Heads up, there's been a kind of change in management. Anyway, just thought you should know. Feel free to give me a call if you want the details, but...
The worst part? Todd had to shoot a kid who discovered them in the desert just to keep them from being exposed, but this just put them in a more difficult situation. No! These guys could blow Walt's entire operation wide open. If they did not get their act together, it was going to be the end of the line for Heisenberg. Walt's careful planning started to look like a house of cards, and all it would take was just one bad move from Todd or his uncle to send it crashing down. Eventually, Walter managed to get rid of Todd without further incident. As you can guess, things were already too messy at this stage with so many close calls. Hank now had enough evidence to nail Walter, so he does the most unthinkable thing possible. Number 10. Walter records a confession. This isn't your typical, "I'm sorry, I messed up" kind of confession. No, Walt flips the script and pins the meth empire on Hank.
If you're watching this tape, I'm probably dead. Murdered by my brother-in-law, Hank Schrader.
Watching Hank and Marie's faces as they realized they were trapped was both heartbreaking and jaw-dropping. Walt knew this was his insurance that would keep him out of prison.
Hank has been building a meth empire for over a year now and using me.
Walter White's remarkable ability to evade capture kept viewers glued to the edge of their seats, but the thrill does not end here. Subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this.